You want to talk about like John Hubers and as a person, with you, Brody Lee, Luke Harper are all Jonathan Huber. I'm that because of those three personalities, I guess, in professional wrestling. Made me what I am. It's very powerful.
And see there, we just had to do a little bit of a tribute. Yesterday we lost John Huber. Everybody knows him, Luke Harper, Brody Lee, whichever way you want to call him. If you guys have anything you want to say or share about that man, go ahead and do so before we get going.
I mean, he was a hell of a wrestler, and he was from what I hear, a really good family man. He'll be missed.
I haven't heard anything negative about him in any interview I've had, so that speaks levels. And even if I'm not a big fanboy over him after he's gone, I'm not going to act like I seen him before everybody else or anything like that and over glorify him. But the fact is, his wife and his kids, they lost a good man. And we lost a lot of wrestlers this year. Tony was going down the list. I'm pretty sure it's shown. And fucking sucks. There's been at least one case I've heard of this year where, unfortunately, the backyard scene has gotten the same thing by another pioneer of this community before it was a community. And I believe it was Tommy Malice.
Yes.
And you just got to show respect for the people that paved the way,
I agree. I remember one of the first times I seen Luke Harper back in the day when the Wyatt family was just getting started. I believe it was an FCW at the time. Seeing it on YouTube or somewhere as they were posting shows, just seeing things he could do even in the early stages of the Wyatt family before they were even brought up to the main roster. Definitely unbelievable to see what he could do on screen, but then to see all the outpouring and everything that people were saying on Twitter, Instagram, all over social media last night and today. Definitely one of a kind and will be severely missed by many people. We shall move on. Anyways, this is Tiger Talks Wrestling. We are here today for an NUW, Newburgh Underground Wrestling Year in Review. I am Tony. You guys know my co-host, Mr. Awesome, and our special guest today, the current NUW Continental Champion,
PJC, and I've got the muscle.
Couldn't do it any better, so I had to let you take that one, PJC. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. First time won't be the last, I'll guarantee you that. So it's been quite an interesting year, not just for NUW, for wrestling in total. We didn't get a whole lot of shows this year, COVID-related, other things behind the scenes. But we're going to dive into what we did get to see this year, knowing that this will be the final season of NUW Slaughterhouse, of NUW period. Who knows when exactly that season will end? We'll see. But we got a lot to dive into for the few things we did get to see. Anything you guys want to touch on from this season before I get into the list, though?
Man, I think if things went the way they went, man, I knew it was going to be depressing either way you looked at it, whether wrestlers passed or not, because you still had, at the beginning of the year, the news. that this is the final season.
Right.
And nobody knows really when the door is closing. That's the hard part. You don't know when, just like you don't know when somebody's going to pass. It just happens spontaneously.
True. Seen that happen with so many companies in pro wrestling and YouTube wrestling. I mean, you never knew for sure when KBW would end. You never knew VTW was coming to an end. All these different promotions. I'm sure even you, PJC, and companies you've been in the past didn't know for sure when you guys were really closing. So it's just something that happens.
Oh yeah.
But we will start. Let's dive in. We had the season premiere kickoff show back several months ago, and then leading into the first episode of Slaughterhouse, episode 28, the season premiere. What is something that you guys can remember from both of those and things that we've seen to start this final season? The announcement, of course, from Mcdonald at the top of that season premiere that he was now the owner of NUW again and taking back over ownership from the dark side.
Well, I guess I'll go first. See, I don't even remember how things truly aired because it's been a minute, but I think if everything went the way I believe it went, there was the teaser of Everett Creed, and he was making his announcement that he's going to return, and he showed up on that panel. he was going off on you, Tony, and
True.
well, he's going off on everybody.
That's
And
true.
I definitely remember him carrying that into the slaughterhouse when he returned. And then he just shouldn't open his mouth because then Corey Graves showed up.
He did.
That's one thing that comes to my mind. What about you, PJC?
I mean, I remember that I was put in a number one contenders match via just random lottery, you know. I remember getting my ass kicked and losing the match, but, you know.
Hey, at least you didn't take the fall in that match anyway.
I did not. No. I mean, I got TKO'd out of there, and then, to be honest, the rightful person won that match. Not Chaz Evans.
Chris Idol.
Chris Idol. He was the best contender there. I mean, to be honest, I was the odd man out. I'm weird. I'm a little loopy. Right, Mickey? Oh, boy, PJC. Yeah, look. He knows.
You know, it was definitely an interesting 4 contenders that were pulled out of the hat by Mcdonald. That's for sure for that match. Being, of course, yourself, PJC, Damien Fatale, who did take the pinfall to Chris Idol, and a lot of fans' favorite, Evan Blake, of course, being the 4th man in that fatal 4-way. In my opinion, that was a very correct word to put here is not coming to me, but it was a very good start, very good main event for the first episode back, in my opinion. Put it that way. And what we got after the match was the start of the main storyline we would see going throughout this part of the season of NUW. Chris Idol, Vivica Jones, of course, celebrating his victory afterwards. And who comes out? Of course, the king himself, Nevon Mcdonald, to make a couple declarations at the end of the show. And we would lead from that into eventually, as I'm not necessarily going to go episode by episode, but into eventually seeing Nevon Mcdonald's birthday episode come up and him putting himself in, I believe it was a first ever intergender match in NUW history.
Yeah, I remember that. How do you get beaten by a woman, Nevon, after you talked all that shit?
Right?
He's a good shit talker, but not a good wrestler.
Ooh. Throw some shade there, are we?
Oh, yeah. He's the NUW champion, man. And PJC wants a little bit of that, you know? So hopefully this season I get a chance at Nevon. he did screw me out of the number 30 spot in the Backyard Rumble. So I still have a little bit of I want a little bit of revenge on him, you know?
I think there's a lot of people, a lot of guys in NUW that still want some revenge on Navan for a lot of things that he's done over the years.
Oh yeah.
Which we'll dive more into. Going back to that episode 28, it was, I believe, the only time out of the 4 or 5 shows that we've seen this year that we actually seen the Balance of Chaos in action as a team. They would pick up a win over Powers Investment, Will Powers and Clark Williams. We haven't really seen much of either one of those two teams, but do you guys think we will be seeing more, and what do you expect from them going forward?
I mean, they're both two great teams. I've never actually shared the ring with either team, but I am impressed by what I see by them. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Powers Investment go off this year. Those two guys, especially Clark Williams, is a force to be reckoned with.
I would agree on that part. We've seen a lot of things out of Clark over the last couple of years, so in NUW and other companies for that matter.
Yeah, you got a good point there. With the Balance of Chaos, we've seen them, just not this year too much, because I think both men that are actively representing in NUW, if you get my meaning, they seem to want to do their singles thing. And now we've seen, well, Ustlo did what he did at the pre-show, a Fight for Freedom.
Right.
And, well, Revan was less than successful. So, I don't know. Ustlo's got some momentum. Revan's got to pick up some. So, will they do it together? I can't say. But the Powers Investment, and overall, this whole tag team scene, I think, is about to get revival. Like, it's about to get back into the glory days. Like, I think a lot of teams are going to be showcased.
I'd have to hope so. There's potential for a lot of different teams to be used in NUW. So, one other person I want to mention before we move on past episode 28, the season premiere. Somebody that you're very familiar with, PJC, made his debut in NUW on that episode. Mr. Drew Magic.
Yes.
What was your thoughts of seeing him, one, debut in NUW, and of course, we seen him pretty much squash Midnight Moon in that debut match?
I mean, I've had my beef with Drew Magic over the years. He turned on me, but we squashed it, and I'm happy to see him in there. Another ally on my side, and I wasn't surprised that he squashed the Midnight Moon. Drew has only ever really I'm the only person to ever pin Drew Magic, so I hope I get to face him again so I can beat him again.
It was an impressive debut, and he has a nice shining wizard that he used to finish off that match with. So we'll see what the future brings for him if he sticks around in NUW. Right. Anything else either one of you guys want to touch on from that episode before I jump into quite the triple threat we had for episode 29?
Episode 28. There was something that...
Yeah, I know there's more stuff from there, but it's so long ago.
Yep, I know.
Oh, man.
Yeah, all of it right here. So I'll go over the results real quick, and then you can mention
it. Yeah, go Wikipedia on me.
We'll do.
Remember.
Drew Magic beat Midnight Moon in the opening contest after Navan had to reveal everything. We had Johnny and Alan with the backstage segment. Everett Creed and Corey Graves, the interview with Corey returning. The Heretics left their first blood note for the Brothers Creed. Darkseid took Ragul for quite the ride throughout the episode. The Balance of Chaos beat the Powers Investment. You had your own segment, Mr. Awesome, as we seen highlights of Adams versus PJC versus Cobalt.
Oh, that's probably what I was thinking of. Oh, God. I did that to him.
There was another big thing that happened in that episode. Next, Mike Furlow, Joseph Anthony, and David Luau were seen, and we seen a card that Mr. Steven Adams was in. And we had the death of Steven Adams on NUW programming.
Well, see, they didn't even get their tributes. Okay, Steven Adams. Okay, then there was Raghul. Oh man, I forgot. Man, and I contributed to one of those.
True.
God, Steven Adams, poor bastard.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened was Jay Genethai beat Mysterion and then hit him with the steel pipe afterwards a couple times. So yeah, that's what happened on episode 28. So yes, you were even so heartbroken you made a video for Steven Adams after that too that we would see in a future episode of Slaughterhouse. So, and you forget about it. See how yeah.
Yeah, you see, I mourned the dead for about half a second.
Just a half a second. Gotcha.
I choose to forget.
Yeah. All right, so we'll jump in. I'll go over what things happened real quick for episode 29, and then you guys can talk about anything you remember exactly from that show or what you enjoyed from it. Started off with a triple threat match. Everett Creed, Mike Perillo, and Joseph Anthony were in it. Creed picked up the win as he's been getting quite a few of those in NUW. By beating Mike Perillo, put Perillo in the Genesis device afterwards. Surprisingly, we didn't see anything of Corey Graves there. Zach Cobalt, Chris Moolah, and Navon talked backstage, leading into Moolah and Cobalt's match that we would see at Fight for Freedom. Castelli talked. Don't even get me started on Castelli because we'll talk about him later.
I think I'll get you started on Castelli.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Brothers Creed ended up getting laid out. You only had to assume who did it because it wasn't shown who was done it. Clark Williams and Logan had quite the battle on that episode. Went to a double count out, but those two big men definitely had quite the brawl. Will Powers and Matt Bradley were also there with Clark Williams. Dark Side got a little bit of revenge on the Pitbull that episode. Johnny Reed and Shadow Grimm had a meeting in the woods after Shadow was announced as one of the contenders in the championship scramble match that a certain guest that we have here won, which we'll dive into later. And we will talk about that because that Shadow Grimm definitely was quite different this part of the season. Caleb Cross returned to get beat by Chris Moolah. Navon and Yankee spoke about a certain individual that both men despise and that Yankee would go on to face at Fight for Freedom 2. PJC and Drew Magic would have a little segment from PJC's house. And in the main event, we would see Evan Blake in a hardcore match pick up a victory over Samael before Navon Mcdonald would have his car promo announcing his birthday match that was coming up the next episode. What was the biggest takeaway from that episode that you guys remember seeing and the main things that you guys want to talk about from that?
Wow. Episode 29.
Mm-hmm.
See, that was an episode. There was a lot that went down.
True.
I do remember at the time I was like the opening triple threat. I was like the wildest group of names, but it worked. It meshed out. You got some moments in there. And then, I mean, how could you forget what happened to JJ the Pitbull Cordero? What the hell?
He treated as a pup.
He got turned into something.
Yeah.
I don't think it's PG. Yankee and Navon, that encounter. I mean, we know what happened there.
And those two definitely still don't get along. They just had a common enemy at the time.
Yeah. They definitely don't have healed wounds yet.
Right.
Even after how many years it's been. They still not too happy with each other, and more on that later. There was so much on this show that, like, it was crazy. Episode 29 with the hardcore match with Samael and Evan Blake. I do remember that.
Me too.
And I'm interested to see where one of those men not named Evan Blake goes from here as a result of what we saw last.
Me not.
I think it was a good episode. I think episode 29 really brought you into Fight for Freedom. Like, I think 28 was more the planting the seeds. 29 was more the blooming period.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
anything else?
I really enjoyed the hardcore match in that episode, especially when Evan Blake poured the thumbtacks like all over the ring, and
Right.
thus made it so if you bumped in the if you got hit down, you were gonna not be feeling good.
I'd imagine.
I mean, I was interested with Shadow Grim. He seemed to have a different attitude than normally because he's still a little mad about losing his NUW championship.
Yeah, a little pissed off about losing that undisputed championship, and I don't. From what it sounds like, Navon doesn't plan on giving him the opportunity for that championship anytime in the near future either. Which really, you can't blame the man as long as he's the champion for not wanting Shadow Grim anywhere near him with the history those two men have. We've
I don't
seen.
think Navon wants a lot of these people to be getting any opportunities anytime soon.
I suppose you could say, like Joseph Anthony mentioned, there's a reason he calls it Nirvana Underground Wrestling instead of Newburgh Underground Wrestling. But
Yeah, Chris Moolah. I'm getting into him. More on that later. But the Zach Cobalt and Chris Moolah segment, oh man, you should just let him do his pool in peace.
right?
He wasn't doing anything to piss anybody off. He was just chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, he interrupted. I was supposed to meet Zach there. We were supposed to play. You know, we had little rubber duckies and everything, but no, got interrupted.
It's the way things seem to go in wrestling most of the time. Nobody ever can get through anything.
It don't need to be like that though. Like, we know that Navon was just gonna ramble at the end. But come on, you didn't need to lose your title and then go find it again. And then just set that match up just because you don't like a man setting up a pool in your arena.
Right.
He's probably attracting more fans to the building.
Very well could have been, especially on a hot summer day.
I don't know how many people would have fit in it, but hey.
Yeah, kiddie pool pretty much, so not a whole lot of one. Of course, from Navon at the end in his car was making obscene comments towards Vivica Jones, and we all know where that would end up leading to, as we'll jump into that here shortly. But yeah, definitely Shadow Grim. We've seen a different side, even a more darker side, I would say. Seeing him in there in the woods and asking Johnny what he thought he was doing there, pretty much. Telling him he wasn't safe there, which Arnold Mcdonald, of course, could tell you that being around Shadow lately, it hasn't been safe, and he's gotten out of layers and anywhere else that he's tried to interview Shadow pretty quickly. So, those were the biggest takeaways from episode 29. Like you said, it was a lot of build up towards Fight for Freedom 2 on that episode. Not going over the upshots because there was a match usually on the upshots, but nothing really worth mentioning on those. We went over
watch them.
Review shows. Yes, they were worth watching. Jump into episode 30 then. Started the show off with maybe the best opening match of the 3 episodes, in my opinion. The triple threat was really good, but Chris Moolah and Shadow Grim put on an absolute clinic, in my opinion, to kick off episode 30. Shadow did pick up the win with the Soul Taker, but that match could have went either way. It looked like many times throughout. To me, anyhow. From there, I'll let you guys go in after I read off everything that happened real quick. Navon Mcdonald, of course, with his birthday cake, a little bit of footage talking about what the main event that was coming up. Clark Williams and Evan Blake had a match. You would thought after seeing Evan Blake get the successful victory over Samael the week before in a hardcore match, this would have been a competitive match. It was not by any means, as Clark Williams made quick work out of Evan Blake, made him tap out. Vivica Jones and Chris Idol were shown talking backstage. Vivica was very worried about her upcoming match against Navon for a very good reason, obviously. Chris Idol talked her out of trying to back out of the match pretty much. You got the Dark Side on the phone in his car talking to Arnold about things that he was planning on doing to Yankee. Seeing some preview videos. A fatal four-way match to determine the number one contender for the New York title. And I was definitely surprised by who won that match, to be honest. Revan would pick up the win over Jay Genocide, JJ Cordero, the Pitbull, and Alan Reed, which Darkseid was the referee for as well. So it was that. We got, afterwards, Revan got in the face of Brandon Castelli, who then attacked him from behind. Brandon would then have a match against Johnny Reed, non-title champion versus champion, which Castelli would win. I'm not even going to go over what he said when he came out. I'm sure somebody else will, though. Darkseid had his contract signing segment where it was supposed to be Darkseid and Yankee signing the contract, but Yankee didn't show. So Darkseid had some derogatory remarks, which if either one of you want to go over anything in that, go for it. But the main event, we've seen, of course, as mentioned, Vivica Jones would pick up the win over Naman Mcdonald, even with Damien Fatel as the special guest referee. There was a lot to unpack here. Either one of you that wants to go first, go ahead and take any part of that.
I mean, the opening contest with Shadow Grim and Chris Moolah, that match was like crazy. Like, I mean, I expected Shadow Grim to win, but Chris Moolah is no one to take lightly. I've known Chris for a while. Like, I've known him. He's originally from BXW, and he can go. He's gone with some crazy names like Matt Morris, and I know he can go. So I wasn't surprised that he put on a stellar match with Shadow Grim. I don't know what the Darkseid's thinking. I mean, yeah, I know Darkseid's a hell of a wrestler, but Yankee, you don't want to mess with Yankee. I mean, I'm gonna book it away if I ever see Yankee. Bye, see ya. I will stand way far from Yankee. So what he said about Yankee, I mean, he was just wishing for trouble. So
Right.
And then I was surprised that Evan Blake stood in basic. I mean, Clark Williams is a good wrestler, but Evan Blake went toe-to-toe with Samael the week before, or the episode before, and then he put on basically no challenge to Clark Williams, which was a surprise.
I would agree. We can touch on the main event in a minute. Mr. Awesome, what do you take away from this show?
Man, Chris Moolah just gets better and better every match I've seen in NUW.
Right?
I mean, he just does. And, wow. When it comes to this versus the Fight for Freedom match, I mean, you're getting the best of Chris Moolah right here. I mean, you really are. Chris Moolah is going to be something. I'm feeling it. Like, at least within NUW, he's going to be something more than he is right now. And, man, Navon with his birthday. All he wanted was Vivica Jones to pull his belt off. And he didn't even realize how literal it got. Because she was trying to pull that belt off in the form of Chris Moolah. I mean, not Chris Moolah, Chris Idol. Fuck. God damn it. See, and I can't be the only one to ever say it like that.
Merry Christmas.
God damn it, Chris. Fuck. Well, anyways, point being, she beat Navon McDonald.
She did.
And she threw it in his face. She was twerking on him and just making a fool out of him, making him run around the ring like Tom and Jerry cartoons. Like, what the hell? I'm like, is this Boomerang Channel? What the fuck? And then the Dark Side and Yankee, to be honest, I'm glad Yankee didn't show up. in the grand scheme of things because it made it that much more personal. The fact he wouldn't show up, he showed him no respect in the entire feud. And he still ain't showing him no respect, so hey, they kept it mutual. They don't like each other.
Right.
I'm glad they didn't have an encounter. They made you wait for it. I'm glad.
I mean, you and I kind of felt that firsthand as one of our review episodes. We had Yankee on here, and the boys pretty much took over. But the things Yankee had to say about the dark side, not just things that they've had on screen, but things that they've done off screen, you could tell the hatred pretty much was there. So, with the feud, we were definitely looking forward to.
Yeah, it was going into Fight for Freedom. From what I remember about that last episode, it just made you really want to see it.
Right.
And it wasn't just episode 30, it was Road to Freedom. And it felt like you were on the road for sure. And man, I just remember a lot of the big stuff that happened, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Because I think episode 29 gave us a lot where episode 30 didn't need to give as much. But that's just me. I think when it comes down to it, episode 29, you kind of get the point.
Right. Episode 30 was just mainly for Navon's own enjoyment of his birthday. Or disappointment of his birthday, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah, he definitely didn't enjoy his birthday.
Right? He didn't get what he wanted. All right. So then we'll move on. That's all you guys got from that episode. Brandon Castelli did make some derogatory remarks. I'll mention that from that episode, but that's all I'll mention. We move into the Fight for Freedom 2 pre-show. We had 2 matches on there. They had the Fatal 4-Way match between Will Powers, Ustalo, Jay Genocide, and Alan Reed, which you kind of touched on a little bit there, Mr. Awesome, earlier. Ustalo actually picked up the win, beating Jay Genocide in that match. I personally was a little surprised to see Ustalo win that match, as Alan Reed's was the person I thought was going to win it. He's been kind of more on the upward trajectory, more so than either one of the 2 members of the Balance of Chaos. After that match, we'd see Will Powers lay out Ustalo. Who knows what could come from that? I know I had a big spot. There was a nice choke slam from Will Powers during that match onto the apron to Will Powers from Alan Reed, correction. Then we'd move into the Guts of Glory match to crown the new hardcore champion. This is part of what led into the Yankee Darkseid match, of course, because when Darkseid was the owner of NUW briefly, he stripped Yankee of the hardcore championship for no showing. So we had to have this Guts of Glory match. Seeing Evan Blake, Adam Anderson, Clark Williams, and Logan were the 4 men in there. I want to see personally more of Clark Williams and Logan because I feel like there's still unfinished business between those 2. They got it together a little bit in this match, but still that's something I want to see one-on-one, maybe with a no DQ match or no count out or something that affects something where we can actually get a finish to it. But it was nice to see, in a way, to see Evan Blake get a little comeuppance on Clark Williams, as he was the one. Evan Blake got the pin on Clark Williams to win the title here. If there's anything else you want to mention from the pre-show or the kickoff show, I know we did our own little kickoff show where prediction show, if you will. There is one other prediction show I want to jump into before we go into the Fight for Freedom show as well. But what did you guys take away from those 2 matches and the winners of those 2 matches, for that matter?
I mean, I was shocked, like you said, with Ustalo. I definitely didn't see Ustalo. I've been in the ring with Alan Reed, and especially since he lost his NUW New York Championship, I thought he was going to be on his A game and easily going to win that match. So I was shocked that he didn't come out the victor. And then all I can say about Evan Blake winning the Hardcore Championship is that there's a lot of happy fans out there. I mean, He's the champion, so now all they need is Evan Blake to take his shirt off, because I guess a lot of fans want to see that, which is very strange.
It is.
But yeah,
Mr. Austin, what was your takeaway from those two matches?
From Fight for Freedom, man, didn't I call both of them?
Yep, you did.
Oh yeah, that's right, I did. All right, well, you see, I enjoyed both the Fatal 4-Ways. And I think the hardcore one stands out more to me because it crowned a new champion, obviously, and it was just wild to begin with. And the other one was more about just building some momentum going forward, and hopefully it does it for Ustalo, since he did win. But Evan Blake, now that he is the hardcore champion, the first hardcore champion we've had in a good while, at least different name being added to the list.
Yeah, and I will put this out there. We still haven't seen what the NUW Hardcore Championship looks like either.
Yeah, he didn't quite get his title yet. He's yet to be presented it. So we'll see what happens there. You got a good point.
Because last we seen the Hardcore Championship, it was the BEW Hardcore Championship still. So, but before I jump into the main card, we did see, probably should have went over that before the kickoff show, but we seen a special kickoff panel, if you will, put on the NUW channel, hosted by Arnold Mcdonald, with a couple of guests who are very familiar with NUW. One who would be in action on Fight for Freedom 2 and Usurp Supremacy himself, Everett Creed, and the other being a man who Everett Creed has had many battles with over the years in UWE. Of course, CJE himself, Cameron Jackson. What was your guys' thoughts of seeing those two men join Arnold McDonald for that kickoff show?
I mean, it was pretty cool seeing, especially CJE, because he hasn't appeared on NUW in any fixture in a long time. And I mean, those two bickering back and forth was a hell of entertaining. But the one thing I can say about that kickoff panel is Everett Creed basically said, tried to count me out, and all I can say for him is that I won't forget that, and when we do meet in the ring, PJC is going to come out on top.
Nice.
And keep in mind, he said the word win.
Yes, not if.
Oh, you know what's going to happen. I mean, and I will easily dispatch him because I'm PJC and I got the muscle, but, you know.
And I personally enjoy seeing CJE and Everett Creed on there. It's anytime you get those two on the same show or in the same room, it's usually a lot of fun. I mean, every time that Everett Creed would open his mouth, it seemed like, bam, like that, Cam would come up with a retort and say, hey, just that quick, you're going to lose to Corey Graves because you're not paying attention to what the actual point is being made in this situation. So just that classic to see those two bickering back and forth. We haven't really seen it a whole lot over the last couple of years, but to relive those old UWE memories, I guess, in a way, something I enjoyed personally.
Yeah, Cameron was coming with it that day.
Oh,
it was nice to see those two mix it up, and it did get really tense at a lot of moments.
Yes,
I do remember that. Everett just kept talking. And Cameron wasn't allowing him to say some of these things just sly as he was.
You're right. It was definitely interesting.
He had to pull him apart.
Yeah, I was gonna say you had to worry for Arnold there for a couple different times too. Poor man already got one eye he can't see out of.
Man, if only he'd just get a good eye doctor or like a monocle or something.
Right?
Man, somebody needs to give Arnold a plush Jiminy the Cricket.
There you go. He's a little looking eye for him. So we did go almost 4 months between episode 30 and Fight for Freedom 2 because of certain things behind the scenes we won't mention. But it was definitely worth the wait to see that kickoff show and then the main show that we'll dive into now. The opening contest we've seen after the opening video package, very good video package to start off Fight for Freedom 2, in my opinion, anyway.
You're more welcome.
Yes, that was towards him. Chris Moolah and Zach Cobalt tore the house down in the opening contest to determine who would be the number one contender for the Continental Championship. So, be interesting to see where things go from there, as we've seen Zach Cobalt pick up the victory, which some people, I think, were in his corner, were expecting him to win. Some people weren't. I was rooting for Zach in that match. I've been impressed by everything I've seen from Zach Cobalt and Chris Moolah, for that matter, but especially from Zach Cobalt since we see him in King of the Yard 1 and anything he's done in NUW since then. I'll personally say I'm not too familiar with you guys from GBYWN or any other companies other than NUW, but definitely something interesting anyway that I've been seeing. Go over these results real quick, then I'll let you guys take away anything you want to from it. We've seen Navon talking in his car as he's preparing for his match with Chris Idol. You got Revan going against Brandon Castelli in a pretty decent match for the New York Championship. Castelli, of course, picking up the win. Darkseid spoke from his home. The Heretics attacked the Brothers Creed before their tables match. Hey, we got a viewer in. We'll get into that in a minute. The Brothers Creed, of course, picked up the win, as we've seen both members of the Heretics go through tables. Quite interesting to see. A very shocking moment would happen. There was a couple shocking moments that would happen during Fight for Freedom 2, as we'd see a preview video leading towards the match that was, about 7 years in the making? Maybe not quite that long, but the grudge match anyways between Graves and Creed. However, before we'd get into that match, we'd go to an unusual video of a ranch where we would see one Jason Walker, who hasn't been seen in the community in a couple of years. And we'd hear from him telling Corey Graves to make sure he fight for himself and not for APW or for Walker. Definitely was nice to see and hear from Jason Walker, nonetheless, going into this match. You'd see Creed pick up the win over Corey Graves in the grudge match with the Genesis device, but afterwards get laid out by the Don's March, Castelli, Anderson, and Creed. Joseph Anthony would talk from home, mention that he lost a $1,000 bet to the Pitbull. We'd have the Scramble match, which, as we mentioned, PJC, of course, came out victorious after many falls in that match. What was it? We had about 15 falls, I think, or something like that in that match altogether. 12, sorry. I was a little ahead of myself. With a roll-up on Shadow Grim. I must point that out, too, because that is something huge that you picked up the win over Shadow Grim. Arnold would be joined in the studio by a familiar old face that we haven't seen in NUW in quite some time, Carlitos. So that was interesting to see him join in just in time for the Yankee and Darkseid street fight, which was very brutal. Let's put it that way. Yankee would pick up the win, go back to Arnold and Carlitos and get the preview video for the main event. We'd seen Yvonne Mcdonald actually pick up the win over Chris Idol in an amazing match for the Undisputed Championship. The show would end with Vivica Jones slapping Navon and Navon walking out not too happy as the show closed. So yeah, anything you want to touch on from that, go ahead and do so, guys.
I mean, I thought the show was great. I was happy that Zach beat Chris Moolah. The both of them are great, but like you said before, me and Zach have a history. I've wrestled Zach so many times, so he's a hell of a wrestler. So I wasn't surprised that he picked up the victory there. I mean, the main thing I want to talk about is the scramble match. You know,
Of course.
I was kind of just thrown into the match because Navon kind of just needed another person in the match, and he didn't have much faith in me. You know, he didn't think I could win. No one thought I could win. And to be honest, you guys didn't even think I could win.
You're right.
And
I
I
don't
was the
think
odd man
you had
out.
too many odds.
Yeah. And but all it takes is one pinfall in that match, and you just had to get it near the end. And yes, I got my ass kicked. I hit all of maybe 2 moves, but I came in where it counts. I rolled up Shadow Grim, the longest reigning NUW undisputed champion.
Right.
4-3, time expired, and I was declared the Continental Champion. This is my first singles title in over 7 years. So I'm very happy to be the NUW Continental Champion. You might be wondering where the Continental Championship is. Right now, he's on a date, unfortunately. He wanted to be here, but he had a date scheduled with a girl named Pamela. So that's why he's not here. Otherwise, he would have been, you know. But, yeah.
Gold action, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's probably doing it right now if I know him well. And you know what? One more thing I'll say is I was pretty sad I didn't win the championship, but Devon's still the champion. And like I said earlier, I love a chance at him. So hopefully, maybe I'll get another chance to get a chance at the title. And if I do, maybe I'll beat Devon, you know?
Yeah. We'll see. Mr. Awesome, I know you and I went over this show quite heavily at our post show, pretty much, of Fight for Freedom 2. But anything you want to mention or take away from this show? If it was the last that we've seen of NUW so far.
Well, Fight for Freedom 2, looking back on it, I mean, it is what it claims to be. It's a mega event for a reason.
Right.
Like, you're not going to get 30 minutes of bullshit and just get like promo after promo and just get like 45-minute promo by Triple H in the middle of the ring. Like, that ain't gonna happen. I don't think so. And the thing is, Fight for Freedom 2, looking back on it, I believe it's a very nostalgic event because of the returns that you've seen and also like the time period it takes you back to. Like, it really does, and it's weird. It is like a celebration of backyard wrestling, I guess you could say. Because you got to see matches that you probably haven't seen before or haven't seen resolved, as in the Dark Side and Yankee. I think no matter if you're a wrestler, if you're a fan, if you were there live, if you weren't there live, you were on the edge of your seat just wondering, oh my God, who is going to die in this one?
Right.
And the build pretty much reflected that. I think that goes down as one of the most heated rivalries in NUW, probably the best rivalries in NUW history. Say what you will about the match, but just purely off the story, that's hard. It's hard to top right there.
Yeah.
Another one with a lot of history, Graves and Creed.
Oh, yeah.
Resolution from what happened at Best in the Yard 2, WrestleCon. And it seems that although last time we had Graves on the show, he said he wasn't feeling that satisfied with just putting Everett through a TV screen with Don's March. I think we will see another round between them at some point down the line, but maybe it's not even in NUW. Maybe not. Who knows? But at the point it stands now, Everett is backing up his words, and that's what a lot of people don't like. The fact that Everett can back up his words and pull off these victories like this after cutting a Creed 15. And
Those have missed 15s.
I still believe I stand by what I believe I said. I think the main event match of Idol versus Mcdonald, I believe that was my favorite match of the night based on just what they were able to do. They didn't need to go all out, but they still delivered something unique on a show where, yeah, you can do the hardcore style, but if you can like stand out still without it, like, you get more props from me. If you can stand out in a unique way, because the point of a wrestling match card, you're supposed to like stand out in your own unique way. No matter if they're all the same stipulation or not, you got to do something different. And I think they did. Now, I'm not saying a whole bunch of it was hardcore, but they just brought something, a unique feel to it. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this match. Cobalt versus Moolah. Good God. What did they not do in that match? What did they not do? Because so many people, I think, were sleeping on that match, and then they saw the match, and then they were like, what? They weren't ready for all that. They were not at all. And to be honest, I don't even know if I was yet. And I've seen Moolah work. I've seen Cobalt work. And then I was like, God, that just gelled so well. For, I believe, a first-time ever matchup. I don't think they've ever squared off anywhere else. It was fluid. It just worked.
Right.
And Cobalt is your new number one contender for the New York Championship. Hopefully I didn't fuck that up.
Is it New York or is it the Continental? One of those two, anyway.
It's New York. I mean, if it's Continental Championship, I don't think Zach wants to face me. I mean, I beat him last time. I'll beat him again.
Gotcha. Had wrong notes. That's okay, though. But anyway, jump into that first. We got H2 in the comment section, says, yo, just popping in to say, hey, happy almost New Year. He also mentioned Navon's a shiesty motherfucker, which we know all about that. Salvador de Dios, also in the chat room, says, Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
New Year's coming up soon. I mentioned how we had Jason Walker on the ranch with his little video sent in. We, of course, had Hellhound was shown for the first time this season in a promo package earlier on the kickoff show, I believe it was. And Freddie Mercury made a little appearance as well, talking about the main event match going in. So it was definitely nice to see some of those guys who haven't really been seen, especially like Freddie Mercury, who we haven't seen since way back in BEW days, make a quick little appearance. A lot of similarities between the Navon and Chris Idol feud from the Navon and Freddie Mercury feud from way back in the day. So that was something I took away from it. It was a good show, very good show. Like you said, showed why it's one of the top shows in NUW. One of the main big shows, if you will. Not much else I can say that you guys didn't put in there. Nobody, like you said, PJC, really expected you to walk out with the championship. You did. You beat opponent.
Yeah, Mickey put all his Pop-Tarts on Shadow Grim, so I'm letting him borrow my Pop-Tarts. So,
well, I put mine all on Shadow Grim too because that's who I picked to win the match. So, kudos to you. I was wrong. I'll take that loss. So,
hey, I think Shadow's gonna need some blueberry Pop-Tarts if he ever sees you again.
yeah,
He's gonna need some blueberry ones, some strawberry ones. He's gonna need something to calm down.
My favorite Pop-Tarts.
I think he's too happy still.
No.
Right. But we'll transition since we're talking about you and being the Continental Champion. One of the topics that Mr. Mcdonald himself sent to me to go over for the show. And I'm going to send this one to you, Mr. Awesome, first. I want you to answer this one. How do you guys think PJC will be as Continental Champion, and can he hold up under the pressure?
Well, can PJC hold up under the pressure? Considering how NUW is, it's not even just about the three letters itself. If you really want to transparent them letters, it's really backyard wrestling. It's like the whole community can really show up in that ring. You don't know who it's going to be. And PJC is going to be in the land he's going to be in the ocean with a bunch of sharks and whales and, well, a couple goldfish. He might find Stitch in there. And who knows? Who knows what he'll find? So, with the Continental Championship, considering the Dark Side's reign proved it, there has been so many people that have challenged for that title that you would never see in that ring, probably never again.
Right.
And I don't think PJC is going to be chilling back, sipping a 40, and he's going to be chilling back, getting old and fat and getting a bald spot and cutting his hair off when his tights are getting too short. No, I think he's going to be fighting the whole time. Who against who? I have no idea, because from what I do remember, at the end of Fight for Freedom 2, PJC gave a handshake to a pretty much broken Johnny Reed. He pretty much fought his whole career to get that championship, and it just went up like that. He couldn't hold on to it. After losing to Brandon Castelli, does he feel like he was the champion he could have been? I don't think so. And so I think he's another target on your back. If we're talking about rematch clauses here, I expect either him and Shadow are going to get into something again, and we've seen what's happened with them. They're going to go to war, probably a number one contenders match. Who knows? I don't know what to expect, but that Continental Championship has got a lot of people reigning for it right now.
Yeah, I would have to imagine probably all of the other competitors from that match will be wanting a piece of PJC at some point down the line.
Hey, and I'll be ready for it. I mean, yeah, I like to have fun. Yeah, I'm a little bit weird. I mean, just a little bit. But when it's something important like being a champion, I'm gonna put 110%. I know that doesn't make sense. At least I'm not Scott Steiner. At least I'm totally not making no sense. But
right.
But I'm ready for anything. You could put me against Shadowgram, Johnny Reed. You could put me in a 6-on-1 match. I'm not losing the Continental Championship. That's going nowhere. As long as I've got Mickey Mouse, I'm not losing. So I'm ready for anything.
Now be careful what you're saying. Some people might be listening and might decide to make sure you don't have Mickey Mouse to help make it so you lose that championship then.
Nah, he's not going anywhere, right, Mickey? Oh boy, I'm not going anywhere. Mickey is undefeated. If you didn't know, Mickey is 600-0. He's never been defeated. He's beaten me 600 times. But let's not forget about that.
Oh,
hey,
so
he touched what your name was.
Yeah.
Can't forget that.
Right. So my personal opinion on that, I think PJC will be a very good Continental champion. I won't necessarily say the greatest, because Darkseid had quite the hell of a reign, and that's something that wouldn't be easy to attain to, in my opinion. But I think you will hold up well under the pressure, and you've shown in the past that you can hang with some of these guys. And I mean, the fact that you pinned Shadowgrim to win the championship, that says something for you, in my opinion. So that shows that you can hang with, if you can hang with Shadowgrim and you can pin Shadowgrim, a man who went undefeated for over a year, then I think you can hold up to it. But speaking of Shadowgrim, that's another point that we wanted to bring up here. What's next, do you guys think, for Shadowgrim and the changes that we've seen in him since losing that Undisputed Championship?
I really don't know. I mean, he's lost his title, and then he lost another match. I mean, I wouldn't want to be the person fighting Shadowgrim next. I mean, he's going to be out for blood. So,
right.
So I don't know where he's headed, but wherever he's headed, it's not going to be good for the person he's gunning for. So, and if it's me, it's under somewhere. I'm going to book it. See ya. Bye.
That would be smart.
Yeah, I don't think Shadowgrim's going to be walking on rainbows anytime soon. I think he's just got 50 Shades of Grey walking down the street. Like, it's going to be crazy, because I don't know what is in the mind of Shadowgrim, because I mean, if we're going to look back at it now, it's been over a year since he lost his NUW Undisputed Championship. That was the first mark
Right.
that struck him. And I guess you could say, yeah, Shadow hasn't gotten a proper one-on-one rematch, but he did get a rematch at Halloween Hell 3.
Right.
And he was coming close to beating the person who beat him. So, I mean, that is something. If you remember correctly, he had David Llewellyn up, and he took him off the top. And to me, Shadow losing that second time, and to see who walked out with the title, that didn't help either. And now, this start of the season, what we have seen of Shadow, I don't know what is next for him. I mean, he ain't happy. I could tell, because now he's had time to reflect, and with things not being as much of a heart monitor as it can be, that's probably pissing him off more. And when you piss him off more, the person who he steps next to is not going to like it. Because, like it or not, Shadow Grim for years has been the make or break with NUW. A new guy comes in, they usually have to talk to him to get some advice, get some help, get some training, some things like that. Because Shadow Grim does mean a lot to the brand. But now he's being kind of outcasted for his failures. And what is going to happen now that he's failed 3 consecutive times? I don't know.
Right.
It hasn't been a fast build to what has been happening. It's been slow and methodical. It's just not been in his favor. And I don't know what happened at Survival of the Fittest, but he couldn't get the job done. So maybe he's feeling like he's getting weaker. So now he's getting more enraged and losing his focus, and that's when PJC takes advantage. That's got to be it.
You'd think
And
so.
with veteran instinct like that, when a newer guy comes into your federation and takes your spot, it just ain't good. Ain't good for you. You feel like you got nothing left to really live for, you know?
So, the thing I'd say about this, as dangerous as we've seen Shadow Grim for over a year as undisputed champion, I almost think, in a way, this new side of Shadow Grim that we're seeing lately is even a more dangerous version of Shadow Grim. Yes, he did get upset, if that's the word you want to put there, by PJC at the end of that Scramble match. However, a Scramble match is a lot different than a singles match, a hardcore match, a one-on-one match of any sort, in my opinion. So that has to play some sort of a variable to it. I mean, Shadow Grim, you mentioned, got his rematch, but it wasn't a one-on-one match. It was part of a fatal 5-way match, if I remember correctly. There's just so many different things for Shadow Grim. It's for him, he needs to try and figure out a way to stay out of these multi-person matches going forward, because that's what's biting him on the ass for the most part. Other than the fact that David did beat him in the singles match for the Undisputed Championship. Not singles, there was a stipulation, but still. I think we're going to see more wins, more than likely than not, for Shadow Grim going forward. And if he comes after that Continental Championship, you better beware on that one. Just hope that maybe he'll get some way, shape, or form heading towards that Undisputed Championship instead, because whoever he goes after, they're going to be in for a wild ride, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think... Wait, go ahead.
Oh, my plan is I'm just going to wear a John Cena shirt so he can't see me, so I'll be good.
There you go.
That works. That'll work. No, but Shadow, like I said, his mind has got to be a little bit fucked. Because now he's failed 3 times, And
Right.
if you compare it with like his earlier career, like if you go to the gap where he was chasing his first world championship reign, there was the Top Guns. But now there is no excuse. There's no faction that's holding him down.
Just
Because
about.
when it was just one-on-one, he got it pretty quickly. He went right through Joseph Anthony.
Sure.
It wasn't a long chase, really. When he had his mind on it, he took it. So now that's got to feel even worse for him now that there's no excuse, really. He's just been slipping. And that's when you feel like you've lost your touch, or if you feel like you're getting worse, that's just going to piss you off. And you're going to do some Chuck Liddell shit and probably get knocked out in like 35 seconds.
So it's possible.
I mean, I hope that we're not seeing the end of Shadow Grim anytime soon.
Right.
But if he doesn't change things around, I don't see how he could stay or how he would want to. Because I don't think he wants to tarnish his legacy.
True. All right. It'll be interesting to see where exactly he goes from here and what we'll see from Shadow going forward. Who maybe his next target will be, for that matter, too. Move on to another person. What are your thoughts on one self-supremacy himself, Everett Creed? He's made a lot of claims since showing up in NUW. Of course, we've seen, just go back to the Backyard Rumble that he was in and got eliminated by Corey Graves and then destroying his orbital bone for several months, keeping him on the shelf. And where do you see him going in 2021 in NUW?
I mean, that is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, he proved that he's better than Corey Graves, and he just has to learn not to run his mouth as much, because otherwise he's gonna make enemies with everybody. And yeah, I do see big things for him. I just don't know where exactly he's gonna end up, but it'll be interesting to watch him.
See, the thing was Everett. I think we've seen like his real motivation on that Fight for Freedom 2 kickoff panel. If you really dig down deep, you can kind of see his mindset on the whole landscape. And it's not really a positive mindset. He's not here to prove a point to me. I think he wants a lot of vengeance on people he feels that wronged him.
Right.
And Corey was the start. He had to prove to Jason Walker that he could do the same to him. And he succeeded. But to me, where does Everett go from here? I think the Backyard Rumble proved it. When he came back, he was coming back for a purpose. And I think everybody's main goal is to become the NUW Undisputed Champion. But the problem with that is someone he's close to is the NUW Undisputed Champion.
Sure.
And neither of those men are really... They don't really hold on to friends too long. Now, I'm not trying to... I think Everett could be telling the truth. He could be telling the truth that they're just friends. Nothing more. Nothing less. But then he just opens his mouth that much, it's where you start to deny him. And you feel like this man is telling us, he's giving us a Drew magic trick. We look into his eyes and you could tell he's telling a whole bunch of bullshit and he's believing it. And he's making you believe it too. And
Right.
That's the thing. I think somehow, no matter where it is, I think maybe the New York Championship might be more likely considering the Dawn's March. I think he's going to get more dangerous and more of a snake in the grass type of feel, as opposed to his past where he would just beat abrasive in your face. Because I think he's seen how it is with numbers. If you look at how his UWE career kind of happened.
I mean, we might not have seen the culmination of it, but he did have the Stark Supremacy running UWE there for a little while before it ended. So he knows about those numbers games. Not just the Stark Supremacy, but he had other numbers at times during UWE as well. So, but yeah.
I think Everett coming to NUW this most recent time at the Backyard Rumble, he's not that Everett Creed anymore.
No.
I think he holds a lot more grudges, more vengeful, more hatred filled, and he's just got more of a sinister vibe to him. I don't think you can really trust him. And I mean, look what happened to people like TJ Sakara. Look what happened to people like Rick Rios.
Right.
Look at what happened Yankee in the Backyard Rumble. Because they were trying to team up for a second, and Everett just went right behind his back again.
Yep.
I don't know. I think no matter what it's going to be, I don't think Everett's here just for Backyard Wrestling anymore. I think he's here for a purpose. And what that purpose is, I think he's going to take over again. However he does it. He said championship goal was on the horizon. So
I could definitely see him going after some gold. We've seen him in NUW as a tag team champion before, briefly, but the singles gold is definitely on his mind this time around. Could be the New York title, could be the Continental title. I highly doubt the Hardcore title, but you never know. You'd have to imagine, though, as you mentioned, that Undisputed Championship's got to be his, pun intended here, end game, if you will. Because Everett Creed has won championships pretty much everywhere that he's popped up at in some way, shape, or form. Has won big matches and championships. So I would have to imagine by the time that this time next year comes around, we'll probably see some gold around the waist of Everett Creed at some point, at least once, if not a couple times. Who knows? What title that'll be, we'll have to wait and see. But that's pretty much what
Oh, okay.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just going to say that's my take on what I think about whatever Creed's got on his mind for this year.
Well, I think, and I guess this will be the first time I actually address these things, the music that goes on the NUW channel, it gives you a bio of pretty much where they've been, what they've been doing. And at the end of the Everett Creed one, it says, in the last sentence, we will see an end game, but at whose hands?
Right.
I think that's what Everett Creed wants. I think he wants to be the one that ends NUW.
Yeah. That's kind of my takeaway from it, from what he's said since he's returned. So, but since you brought it up, certain theme songs, another thing that a certain owner of NUW wanted me to address, current favorite NUW theme songs. Give me the one or a couple that you guys have.
Oh, man.
I like Ustilos. Who
doesn't?
I mean, when you're around Mike Perillo, that's all he ever says. So
Nice.
it gets stuck in your head.
And that's exactly why it was the most recent one, and it'll be the most recent one for a good bit. Because that's got to be the one. You just hear about how NUW filmings go. Someone just breaks out that chorus, and it never stops.
Right? That's definitely got to be a favorite for many of people. So I'll give out mine before you guys don't have others. I've always been a fan of the Dark Side and Nevon Mcdonald's theme songs. I'm not just saying that because they're the two of the top guys. Novin's is great. Not a fan of the guy, but the theme song for him Brandon Costelli's When the Devil Calls. That is a very good song, in my opinion, theme song as well. It's something that when it hits, you know who's coming. For me, that's oh shit, here comes Brandon Costelli. But time to turn the channel. And then my other, I love Zach Cobalt's Heaven is a Place on Earth. That's, I think, fits him to a T, that song seems to. And then Yankees theme song is probably one of my top favorites from NUW.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, since I do release pretty much all of it before, at least most of the recent stuff since Fight for Freedom.
Right.
When it comes to the music, I think the graphic that the person gets along with the music bio, where it pretty much tells you what album, whatnot, I think most of the artwork even reflects the person more than just like a blank background.
Right.
I think Everett's was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Pearl's was good too. Brandon Costelli's I thought was good. But when it comes to like my favorite theme songs, Yankees is up there. For some reason, I don't even know why. My Spanish is that broken. I could probably understand a couple of the words, but I'm like,
but I still like it.
But Alan Reed's is a good theme song. I think Everett. Yeah, we'll go with Everett. And yeah, there's definitely more coming in due time. It's just taking a little bit of a chill break.
Well,
there's still names to go, obviously.
Considering two names I mentioned earlier, Navon and Darksides aren't there, and our guest here, PJC's, isn't listed on there yet.
Yeah, it was gonna be. That's the thing. It was gonna be.
Gotcha.
It was gonna be sometime in December, but then like shit happened. But it will be coming. It seems to be like everybody in the NUW roster, and that's how I've been laying it out. Only person that really knows what's gonna release is Navon, and sometimes he doesn't even know. And I just like surprised the shit out of him. That's how like El Diablo happened. I'm like, yo, this dude's getting he's getting a theme song release. He's like, what the fuck? El Diablo. I'm pretty sure it went something like that. And I'm like, yeah, El Diablo. Why not?
He even got Midnight Moon on there already. It's like, really?
Yeah, and they went back to back. And the thing is, I don't put any thought into it, and that's some of the best content I think I've done. When you don't have to put any thought into it and you just have fun, that's some of the best shit you can get.
Right.
And yeah, there's definitely more coming. I believe so. It's gotta take a little bit of a breathe. And most of the guys on the roster, I think PJC, I'm sure he's probably seen a couple uploads and he's like, when the fuck is mine? I'm a champion, damn it. And pretty much everybody on the roster I've been hearing has been like that. They've been like, well, when the fuck is mine? Especially when you see Midnight Moon, you're like, well, goddamn, the mask guy gets in before me.
Right.
But no, it's pretty much random luck of the draw. Anybody that comes to mind that day. It's just a batch and you just see. It's like Vegas fucking roulette wheels.
Nice.
Nobody truly knows what's going to happen.
All right.
Hey, but it has been NUW content. Got to give it that.
True. It's giving us something for NUW eyes, even if we don't get shows for the moment.
Yeah, if you don't watch NUW, you can at least check out the theme song. You could read about the person.
Right.
Instead of being like a punk ass who acts like you know everything about the show. Act all smug. Probably haven't even watched the fucking show besides a highlight. Well, that gives you what you need. Read up on your shit.
Learn your stuff before you post stuff. The next one we'll go into why exactly you wanted this one, but we'll go into it anyway. What is your favorite Yankee the Difference Maker match in the slaughterhouse of all time.
Oh, God.
I'll take it first because I already got one right off the top of my head.
Well, so do I. Navon knows what I'm going to say. Puerto Rican Junkyard, Navon, you happy?
Well, mine would also be against Navon, although mine was a bull rope match.
Oh, you like the Texas bull rope more?
Huh?
You like the Texas bull rope match more?
I did. I thought that one was... They're both neck and neck, really, but they both were good. Right behind that, I'd have to put the match he had with Darkseid, though, a Fight for Freedom, too, because that was... Yeah, you could tell the personal history between the two of them in that match. So,
I mean, I personally enjoyed his match with Zach Romig at the previous Fight for Freedom 1. I enjoyed that one. That was like the first time I was new to the Slaughterhouse, so that was like the first Yankee match I ever saw, so I enjoyed that one a lot.
It's a good pick. That was a very good match. Definitely a big contrast between the two. You got the big Yankee and then little old Hellhound. And the size difference didn't really come into play too much in that match, so I'll give him that. That was a very good match. Next one we're going to jump into. Who is your favorite WCF wrestler that has competed this season on NUW?
I mean, I really enjoy Chris Idol. I mean, his match, any match he's been in has been stellar, and he almost beat Navon. So I mean, Chris Idol has been really impressive. So I can't wait to see more, and hopefully, maybe we'll share the ring again.
Right.
Okay, when it comes to WCF, whether it's this season or the last season, pretty much any season, it's got to be Chaz Evans for me. Like, I just don't think he tries. It just happens for him. Like, he just has a good fucking match. So, I mean, definitely him.
I'll go opposite of both of you and say Vivica Jones. I mean, she is undefeated, so.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, you are right.
Yeah. I just had to throw that one out there. I mean, she is technically a WCF wrestler. She had one match. She is undefeated, so she beat Navon. But no, in seriousness, Chris Idol has been very impressive, and Chaz Evans both have been very impressive. No offense to Damien Fatale, I just don't think we see enough from him really so far in NUW. So my real pick probably would have to be Chaz Evans, honestly. Nothing against Chris Idol, but like you said, it just seems so seamless for Evans. Everything he does in that ring, so he'd be my pick.
And Vivica Jones, off topic. Vivica Jones did help out a lot for this Fight for Freedom too. At least with the promo package, I will give her that. So thank you for providing me with some footage. I appreciate that. And hopefully you are feeling better from what I hear about this COVID thing. Hopefully you and your family are doing better this season.
True.
And hopefully we see some WCF guys come back at some point. That's just for me.
Because Logan, of course, was from WCF as well, and he was quite impressive. But we've seen him. We went over Dramatic. I'll go over those in a little bit. Next question brought in, is 2021 Brandon Castelli's year of greatness?
What do you think about that, Tiger? I know you love him, so yeah, you should tell him.
Oh
yeah, Tony.
Right,
he was all, fuck you, Tiger.
Well, I'll give it right back to him. Fuck you, Brandon.
Oh.
This year, 2021 is going to be not a good year for Brandon Castelli, in my opinion. He's going to lose that New York Championship, hopefully to Zach Cobalt in the first time that he gets the opportunity. And then hopefully he'll go downhill all the way. Everett Creed will be out for vengeance. If it's not Cobalt, then I think Creed will be the one to take the title from Brandon Castelli. It will be interesting, I'll give it this much, though, to see if we will see more of the Dawn's March in NUW this next year. And if we do, potentially, could there be a tag team title opportunity in the future for them? Whether it be Brandon and Corey or Brandon and Adam or Corey and Adam. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Brandon himself, he can go fuck himself, and I hope he loses the title as soon as he possibly can. That's my take on it. What's yours?
Positivity.
I mean, I personally, Zach's the number one contender, so I gotta go with Zach. So I don't see him having a good year. I see him losing the New York Championship very soon. So yeah, I'm kind of on your side on this.
Good.
Well,
Now give me what you really think, Mr. Johnson.
yeah, no. I mean, technically, I've seen a lot of what Brandon's been doing lately through this NUW upload stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, Brandon lost his title in DBW. He's probably going to lose his New York Championship because Zach Cobalt's a hell of a fucking talent. I don't think he's going to wrestle like it's the dark matches. I think he's going to wrestle like it's a damn main event MSG. Because when the title's on the line, I think he's going to put it all out there. Because even if Zach Cobalt doesn't get every win in the Slaughterhouse, he has been putting on killer fucking matches, win or lose. And speaking of people that's beaten Navon McDonald, hey, Navon, he beat you in his fucking sleep. God, I had to get that out of my chest. That's what you get for making me commentate the Reeds fighting. God. Now, anyways, I think Brandon Castelli. See, the thing is, I don't think he is gonna make it too far because, well, I'll give my reason later on with what I gotta bring up. So, unless Navon brings it up first, then who knows?
We'll see.
But I think you can kind of get where I'm coming from, what I got in mind. Castelli,
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to be doing too well.
But if that's all you got on that one, we'll move into the next topic. Will Balance of Chaos ever make a comeback, or will they fade away from NUW?
I think they're gonna make a comeback. I mean, Revan just lost Usolo's upward momentum, and the tag division is really up for grabs. So now that the Heretics are thoroughly have lost, this is probably the perfect time for Balance of Chaos to step on in and finally get those tag titles.
Got a good point. I mean, I said it when the fucking reaction show after Fight for Freedom. The tag division is going to be crazy. I have a feeling because Johnny and Alan are kind of in a slump right now. I think the Top Guns are going to reunite. I think we got the Dawn's March. We got the Powers Investment. We got the Balance of Chaos coming up. I mean, I don't know if we have the Heretics anymore because what happened, like, I don't know where Samael is. I don't know what he's feeling about that. But even there's still more tag teams. Like, even some makeshift ones like El Diablo and Midnight Moon. Like,
I mean, Drew Magic's in NUW now. I could reform the Powers of Magic with him. We're former BWE tag team champions. So
There you go.
you got that right. And there's also always a chance, as long as Yankee is in that company, he can bring out anybody and reform the Murder Club.
True.
Like, the tag team division, you can say it was stale for a good bit if you really want to. But, I mean, there's still people fighting for the titles, obviously. They still meant something. And I think, like, it's going to be crazy because there's even possibility if someone can figure out what's going on with David Lowell, like, he could be in the Top Guns as well. Or if he can make a call down south, then we might be having an after party at the Marriott 16. Because, I mean, he's kind of returned a little bit this year, if you've seen the NUW channel.
Sure.
So, I mean, I don't think anything's too off limits. The tag team division is, I think, probably going to be the most stacked division real soon.
So my hot take on this question is I kind of think the balance of chaos with all these tag teams that are around that could, whether they makeshift or not, in NUW, I kind of think the balance of chaos is going to fade away. And what I mean by that is I think the team is going to fade away. The superstars themselves, Ustalo and Revin, I don't think are going anywhere. Jason Atlas hasn't been around as part of the balance of chaos in NUW for quite some time now. But I think Ustalo and Revin might have their eyes set more so on singles gold since they haven't been able to get those tag team titles.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. That was the sore thumb. You see, I want Revin and I want Ustalo to do good as single stars because they just haven't been as tag team.
Right.
Like, they've come so close so many times. They've always been an inch away. And to be honest, they've held gold outside of NUW.
Correct.
But now they're also losing more members because Jason Atlas, nobody knows where he's at. What's he doing?
Probably technically was part of it, I guess, briefly, but
if he was around more, you could like switch the dynamic up, free word rule.
Right.
I don't know. It's gonna be crazy because even if you think about it, that's a wild card right there. Jason Atlas. Because if he's to come back to the slaughterhouse, I mean, the Don's March just laid out Everett. Everett was close with the disease. You could get something out of that. Like, the tag division is just going to get wild. So I think the balance of chaos, even if they don't fade away, they're going to have a hard time keeping up, and that goes for everybody in the division.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And to break up,
have a lot of competition. I don't know how long they're going to last as tag team champions. For all I know, they could lose it on the next slaughterhouse. I don't know.
Could. We'll see. To go off of your little point there, Ustalo, former champion in UWE, of course. Revin has held gold in the slaughterhouse, not on NUW programming, but on proving ground. So, Ranger to championship gold. He might have just come up short against Brandon Castelli at Fight for Freedom too, but
yeah, it wasn't exactly a proper finish. Anyways, he got his eye poked in. So I mean, you're right. If they can't pick up the pace, then yeah, they are going to fade away.
Yep.
I think one more big match, if that will really decide everything.
They had plenty of chances against the Heretics, and they couldn't get the job done against the Heretics.
Yeah.
But moving on from that, next point we'll bring up, do you think the competitors who lost at Fight for Freedom 2 can or will bounce back from their defeats?
Oh, yeah. Most of them all bounce back, winning's great, but losing happens, and if you can't learn to take a loss, you can't continue. I mean, I'm surprised I won. I mean, I never win, so I've lost a lot in my career, and I still get back up. So I think all of them will be able to get back up, bounce back, and hopefully win.
Right. I agree with that. I think for the most part, most of them will be able to. As Mr. Awesome mentioned earlier, will we see Sami Al and Casey James again in NUW? Are the Heretics done after their longest reigning championship reign as NUW Tag Team Champions? We'll see. If not, then we might not see them guys come back and do anything. As for everybody else who is in your Scramble match, I see big things for pretty much all of them at some point in time. Johnny's definitely not going to just mope around and fall by the wayside. So, Dark Side, now that might be the one person that you'd have to look for. We have seen the Dark Side come and go in NUW, just like we have for Yankee the Difference Maker. With this loss to the Yankee, can Dark Side return from that loss? Is it too big of a loss for him? Does he see anything in his future in NUW from there? I mean, he's never held the NUW Undisputed Championship, but he's had a couple opportunities. Does he feel like there's more options there? I don't know. That's the one main person that I kind of have a question mark about for that question. Chris Idol, I think we'll be seeing more and probably will get some good opportunities still. But to me, the only person I would question if they can bounce back from their defeat is the Dark Side. I mean, one match, of course, for most people can't define you, but with as much of a history as those two guys had, and the history that Dark Side's had in the company, I don't know. We'll see. Mr. Awesome, what's your take on it?
Well, see, the thing is, with a lot of the losers from Fight for Freedom too, at least on the pre-show, I mean, some of them are in tag teams or can be in tag teams, so I think a couple of them will bounce back. I think Jay Genocide kind of needed the momentum the most because he's proven the least, at least in NUW. So, I mean, he's probably going to, if he ain't fading away, he's probably just going to be whining the whole time. So we could probably expect him and Hellhound as a tag team. And, well, when it comes to the actual main show, well, Chris Moolah, talent-wise, he can deliver. Whatever division he's in, he can deliver, but he could not prove himself as the contender right now.
Right.
So maybe he goes into a different division. Something's got to happen with him because he's had good matches, but having good matches only goes so far. As with the Heretics, well, I see Samael. I don't personally know. He's an eerie figure. Like, I don't know what I expect from Samael because he's had singles matches recently in the hardcore division. Evan Blake is the new hardcore champion. They could have another round for that title. And that's just me. But also, that's probably what it's going to have to be because what happened with KC James? Like, maybe their tag team will split up. I don't know. Maybe they need Yankee to give them motivation. I don't know.
Yes.
But they're going to have to change something because similar to Shadowgrim, what they were bringing that day when they lost the title was not what they needed. Not what they brought for the length beforehand. With Corey Graves, maybe I think him and Adam Anderson probably going to represent in the tag team division. So I don't think he'll get lost, but maybe as a singles wrestler, yeah, you're getting lost. Sorry, Corey. When it comes to the Scramble guys, as I call them, JJ, man, to be quite honest, Cordero, after Darkseid did that to you, and I'm not giving any suggestions or anything, but if a man walked into my house and made me look like a fucking dog and I lost the title that I just got handed the shot for, like, I don't know, I'd feel pretty defeated. So I don't think Cordero's going to be too happy, and for good reason. Johnny's got his own thing going on. Fatal kind of goes with the WCF guys. Who knows? But Shadow, we've kind of spoken about. But then when it comes to the dark side, I think it's a double loss right there because you might lose Yankee as well because although he won, what's he going to do next? There's no
Right.
real clear path like there is for an Everett. Or Everett and Yankee are kind of in the same boat because they won, but did they truly win? Because Darkseid got to walk out under his own power.
Sure.
And the same way with how Corey walked out under his own power and laid out Everett. Like, I don't know. I think Yankee and the Darkseid, they're going to have probably some trouble figuring out where they go from here because the Darkseid's had big matches all throughout his career, but he's been taking so many big losses. But he's also had so many big wins when he was the Continental Champion.
Right.
So, I don't know. PJC, I do believe he had faced you in the King of the Yard 2 tournament.
Yeah, and he beat me. You know, he's
you were involved in the match that he lost that championship too.
yes.
So maybe he wants another shot at that. Maybe that's where he goes from here because I don't think he's got his proper rematch. So maybe he's throwing in there. But Yankee, I don't know if he wants the hardcore title anymore. I don't think he cares about the hardcore title and going for Evan Blake. I don't think he does.
Probably.
But I do think if he does, then maybe him and Darkseid are probably more similar. I think maybe the Darkseid's going for his Continental again. I think Yankee might go for his hardcore again. I could be wrong, but there's no real clear answer. I don't think either of them health-wise are going to be too good because they did put a lot into it. And if they show up on the same day at the same time, it's probably going to be another Newburgh street fight, and that one's not going to be sanctioned at all. It's just going to be caught on some fan cam. Like, who knows? But as for Chris Idol, I don't know what he's going to do. Along with the WCF guys, I don't know. But I don't think it's going to be another title shot anytime soon, if at all. So I think the competition is too stacked for the Undisputed Championship as well. A lot of people want Navon's blood.
Yeah, I don't see Navon giving Chris Idol another shot either. So
I could be wrong. I just don't think I am.
We'll jump into a couple things Navon-wise, but before we do that, the next topic, what was your favorite Fight for Freedom 2 promo package leading into the show?
Everett Creed versus Corey Graves. That promo package was stellar. I love that promo package. I watched that a bunch. That got me hyped for that match. So,
Right?
it's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. A great one. Mine, you might guess which one it would be. It's the match I was most looking forward to. So it mine has to be the Yankee versus Darkseid match, the Newburgh Underground street fight. I just thought that, not just because we were featured in it, but because just to see the history that those two guys have that we hadn't really seen on camera, knowing everything that those two guys have gone through over the years, it brought it home for me pretty much. And Mr. Awesome, I don't know if you can pick one because I know you're the one that worked on them. So
I worked on most of them.
Okay.
I did not work on the Everett and Corey one.
I'm sure Creed had a lot to do with that one.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of the UWE feeling with that one.
Yeah.
And I think I had one made. It was the tag one. And then I seen what Everett came up with. That Everett and Corey one. And I was like, oh my good God. I cannot fuck up on this series at all. And so I gave it my all on pretty much every one of them. And I think my favorite, if it's not Everett and Corey, because that did motivate, I think the Newburgh street fight, hands down. That really took you into the minds of both men.
Right?
And I love the song that goes with it. It made you feel like you were about to see a fight.
Yeah, I would say those are the top two videos in my opinion. Promo packages. So this one is going to be an interesting question with topics that we've been on so far. Who do you think could challenge Navan for the NUW title next, rather, undisputed title? And do you think he can be dethroned?
I'm not sure who's going to challenge him for the title, but I think he could be dethroned. Chris Idol proved that he almost came up and beat Navan. So whoever it is, Navan's going to have to bring his A game or just bring his shystiness in order to retain the title. So it could be anyone.
Sure, it could be.
Adam Cole is going to take the NUW Undisputed Championship.
Hey, he can come. You know, I would love to see him in the slaughterhouse. I mean, I wouldn't mind me, you know, but right now I've got the Continental Championship, but I just don't know who's going to fight him, but Navan's better be ready because whoever it is could beat him, so.
Just I mentioned NXT or started to say NXT. Didn't mean you had to bring up Adam Cole, but nonetheless.
Of course. No.
That'd be a hell of a match. Adam Cole versus Navan. I would love to see that.
Right?
Navan would not be too happy, would he? Just hearing the crowd not give him a reaction. They're just giving Adam Cole the biggest ovation since Jesus Christ coming back to Earth.
Right?
No, but the NUW Undisputed Championship, just like a lot of these titles, like there's so much competition. Like I said, it's not even just NUW anymore. It's like basically a backyard wrestling crossover, like every fucking show. Like, and people don't even think about the term crossover when it comes to NUW because like it just happens so much now. Like PJC was not originally from NUW at all.
Oh.
He has his own background, and that's the thing why I think the NUW channel is special when you do have posts like recently the highlight video that had PJC, Cobalt, and Ace Connors with it. It shows you a lot of like where these guys have been in their career, and it makes you want to like dive into more of your favorite competitor and whatnot on top of the music. Because then once you hear a certain theme song like a return or something, then you go, oh my fucking God. Like, if you hear Cameron Jackson's music hit, you're going to lose your mind.
Yep.
But the Undisputed title, basically, going into this next mega event, I think I want to see. You know what? I want to see Yankee beat Navan.
Interesting.
They have bad blood. It's been reopened over the summer. Check out the channel, people. They don't just stare at each other like that for a reason.
Right?
It ain't just to make a good match card.
You're going off exactly what I was thinking here, in a way. Yankee did mention leading into this street fight match that he would do this favor for Navan and taking out the dark side. Yankee isn't one to do just a favor for somebody without wanting something in return. And what more could he want from Navan Mcdonald than a shot at that undisputed championship? I mean, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours mentality there. Other than Yankee, though, the one other person I think if WCF sticks around and another guy gets a shot, and it's not Chris Idol, because like I said, Navan's not one to give rematches very often, and because we know how shysty of a guy he is. I would love to see Chaz Evans get an opportunity at that Undisputed Championship. He may not have the greatest win-loss record, but just the things he can do in the ring, I think it would make for an outstanding match. Him and Navon McDonald for the Undisputed title. Do I think he can be dethroned? Yes, because every champion can be dethroned. He'll lose that title at some point in time, I have a feeling. So that's my take on that part. There's more Navon stuff here I want to jump into before we move to another topic, though. So he wanted your guys' opinion and mine on the video that Mr. Awesome narrated and posted of the top 10 shiesty moments of Navon McDonald.
Oh, good God.
If you need a refresher course, I've got it right here. So I'll go down in order, and then you guys can tell me what you thought of the whole list and if you think anything should have been different. Started with him assaulting Jordan Oliver in 2010 with his belt. It wasn't just Navon, but it was pretty much the first time, if I remember correctly, what Mr. Awesome was saying, it was the first time we seen Jordan at that point in time. Number 9 was the termination of Felix in 2014. You had Navon treating his biggest fan, Ace, as a peasant in 2015, even making him bark like a dog and was going to have him join his Kiss My Ass Club. Bully and Hellhound in KWA in 2017 with a little help from Victor Van Pelt and Cameron Jackson. Suggesting to Cam on the phone in the lead up to Best in the Yard 3 that Cam should abduct some of Cage's family members. Number 5, showing no respect to Cam as Cam left at Day of Destruction 3, had his last match and was saying his goodbyes, and Navon says all he had to say is nah, hey, goodbye. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on your way out, pretty much. Number 4, getting beaten by and then destroying Kevin Shaw, who was a good friend at the time, at Best in the Yard 2, with 2 alcobongs after the match. Number 3, back in 2015, stabbing his first ever best friend, Cam Pierce, in the back. Number 2, losing to the Blaze and then taking him out before the round 2 match and taking his spot in the King of the Yard 2 tournament. And number 1, lusting for the flesh of Freddie Mercury's girlfriend. A lot of different shiesty moments, that's for sure. I should mention the honorable mentions were his assaults on AK-47 throughout the first King of the Yard tournament after losing to AK 3 times in the first round. Second honorable mention was intentionally getting DQ'd in the boxing match versus Shadow Grim, Slaughterhouse episode 12. And then with a little help from Timey Dong handcuffing Shadow, he would use the bell on him twice. And then in 2014, he attacked Tyler Sands' family members that were sitting in the crowd. Definitely some shiesty moments in there. Very shiesty moments. What do you think of that list, PJC? And did you think anything was missing from it?
I mean, I thought it was a good list. I mean, the list could just go on forever and ever and ever and ever because everything Navon does is pretty shiesty. But overall, I think it was a good list. That number 1 moment with Freddie Mercury is definitely deserves to be number 1. But Navon and his shiestiness is gonna it's gonna come back to haunt him. Like he's gonna go too far on somebody, and that's gonna be the end of Navon. So
right, I would agree. Mr. Awesome, yeah, I'm sure had help with putting this list together. What was your thinking as you were going through making this video and seeing some of these things re-seeing them happen?
Yeah, I don't think it really worked because of the reaction in the comment section. I don't think it really worked. People were admiring Navon. I'm like, what the fuck? And that was just my thought. I was like, are people really about to defend this man after he just did that to Freddie Mercury's girlfriend? Like, oh my God. And people just saw what he did to Vivica as well. Like, what?
Right.
It's even in the thumbnail. Navon is literally pile driving Vivica Jones.
Yeah.
No, but
So there's other shiesty people out there. What can you say?
yeah, I can't speak for them. Like, I don't get it. I was expecting like a bunch of dislikes, and I'm like, I remember messaging Navon. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
Even he was like, if I saw some of this shit, I would want to kill that person. I'm like, you're right. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I personally mentioned it.
But before I go on, is the Yankee one mentioned in there anywhere?
No, you didn't have anything about Yankee mentioned in there.
It didn't have the Yankee top 10?
Nope, you didn't mention that one, but you can bring it up if you want to.
Well, all right. See, the thing is, yeah, I do get some help with the top 10 list, obviously.
Right.
But I can't say that. I mean, I kind of said it before. I think the music content has probably been some of my favorite stuff to do.
Mm-hmm.
The top 10 thing, I just wasn't into, really. Like, that's just me personally. Like, I'm not a top 10 kind of guy, but, like, I host it.
Right.
But that's not to say that I'm, like, against it or I say people shouldn't watch it. I'm just saying, like, if you want my honest opinion, I would probably say the music content's probably better. The highlights, the promo packages, that's probably better stuff that I do. But, hey, it happened.
Right.
We'll see if it continues. Which it will, I'm sure.
You're sure. All right. Well, that was definitely an interesting list. I would have had some things in different spots, but that's me. I've gone over that before. Moving. I think there's only a couple more things here. Yep. Which NUW wrestler or wrestlers are you hoping make 2021 their year as breakout star?
Who will be a breakout star?
Mm-hmm.
Shit. I mean, really anybody can come into the slaughterhouse at this point. So,
Sure.
I mean, to me, no, you know what? To be 100% honest, when I think of the NUW roster that was at Fight for Freedom, I want to see more of Zach Cobalt. More than anybody else. And like, maybe it was the highlight that got me to feel that way, but I'm just looking forward to more Zach Cobalt. I feel like he's going to do something this season.
Nice. Good pick. Anybody in specific you can think of, PJC?
I mean, the opposite. He picks Zach Cobalt. Personally, I feel Chris Moolah. There's big things for him. Yeah, he lost to Cobalt, but I see him bouncing back, and maybe he'll win a title. Maybe I'll face him, and I hope I would be able to beat him, but I could see it going either way.
Right. So I'll kind of stick along the same way as you guys, in an outsider way anyway. I want to see more of Drew Magic. I was impressed by what he had to do the couple times we've seen him on screen. So I want to see what he's made of, so as to speak, and see him get in there with some of these upper echelon guys instead of just Midnight Moon, and see what he can bring to the table. I think it could be a big year for him if he gets that opportunity. But there's a lot of guys that I think need to have the opportunities and will benefit from it if they get those. So the last part that he sent me, he wants a top 3 of each of these 4 items, but if you guys don't want to do 3, I don't care. It can be 1. Your favorites from 2020 season. We're going to go with a ring gear first, if you can think of anybody's specific ring gear that you enjoyed. And Mr. Awesome mutes himself right away.
I don't know. If I remember.
McDonald, Carlitos, and Mickey.
It's good choices.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I do dig Brandon Castelli's like pink and like blue pants, but that's just because I like those type of like funky colors. So
Gotcha. Guess they look like rockers pants. That's what they look like from the rockers back in the day. Marty and Sean, rather. Yeah, I don't really pay that close of attention to attire all the time, but Johnny Reed's had some pretty good gear, in my opinion. Between pants that he's been wearing and just the T-shirts that he's had made have been pretty stellar, in my opinion. So I'd probably go with Johnny for my top ring gear. I hate to say it, but somebody's got to. Naban always has great ring gear himself, too. Yep. So
I was actually about to say that, too.
Whether you like the man or not, always has great ring gear. So,
ring gear, huh? Ring gear. Okay. Evercreed has some unique gear.
It's true.
The Dark Side comes out with something unique pretty much every show. Different types of colors and shit. And Zach Cobalt, because of just like what he does sometimes. Like he just comes out there and like sometimes he'll rip his shirt off. Like he'll have a bandana tied on. Sometimes he won't. Sometimes his shirt will look like the bottom of a toilet paper on your shoe. Like he could just look wild sometimes, but it works.
Right. All right. So the next part of this, favorites from 2020 season, your favorite promo.
Oh, fuck. Of course it's Navon that asks this shit.
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, I really enjoyed the promo with Shadow Grim when Arnold's interviewing him and he's in like the basement. That one was one of my favorite promos. It just was creepy, and you could tell that Shadow Grim didn't really want to be bothered. So I enjoyed that one.
Good pick. Very good pick.
Like, I think everybody kind of feels this way. Evercreed on Upshot, you could choose any one of them.
Yep. I'm just going to say Everett Creed. For the most part. Creed, as much slack as we give him for his Creed 15s, that guy can cut a promo. Whether you like the guy or not. I know I said that for Navon too, but whether you like him or not.
But also, I am not saying this just because he's in here. PJC, you've been getting my fucking head like going with some of these fucking promos. I'm like, what the fuck are you even talking about anymore? And then, but I think entertainment-wise, definitely you get something out of PJC.
Oh yeah. We always like to entertain, and the land of floating tacos is a strange place, so you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
Man, the one that comes to mind is the scrambled egg. Oh my god!
I honestly didn't know that's not how you cook one. I assumed, like he said, scramble match, so I assumed we were going to cook an egg, and then I was told that's not even how you cook an egg, which was news to me. So,
I think I'd be remiss if somebody didn't mention the Dark Side's promos, or Yankees, but more so the Dark Side's because we got a little bit more on screen on NUW programming wise. Some of the promos that Dark Side cut towards Yankee, probably the one for the contract signing itself, I think was amazing. Yes, you don't necessarily always agree with things that he has to say, but still, how can you not mention that promo?
Yeah, I think either that one, but to me, I like the pre-match one from Fight for Freedom. Like, Dark Side is definitely up there.
True.
But an honorable mention would probably be the backstage with Navon and Yankee.
Yes.
That's a good one.
You
All
put
right.
him right in his place.
Yeah. That's something you see happen very often, but Yankee can do it. I'm going to flip-flop to this last two parts for this one. Moments. How your top 3 favorite moments of this season.
God. Oh, my.
Man.
Okay, are we talking like greatest moments, or are we just talking like things you enjoyed?
Your favorite moment of the year.
All right, but this is gonna be entertaining.
I mean, I'm kind of biased. My favorite moment of the year, well, it's me winning the Continental Championship. But I mean, I enjoyed a lot of other things. But I gotta say, my favorite moment is me becoming the Continental Champion.
Right.
Okay, so top 3. One of them that sticks to mind is Brandon Costelli throwing Johnny Reed into all that production shit. Just based off the reaction. Just based purely off that reaction.
They weren't happy. I was there, not happy.
Good God! So what the fuck? You fucking idiots! No, but that's definitely in the top 3 for me. Like that's got to be like a highlight NUW moment, just based off of just how much you don't expect it, and then it just happened.
Right.
Okay, another one. Let's see. Okay, Jason Walker making a return.
That was cool.
And as well, Yankee almost killing both men at the end of their match with that package pile driver.
Oh, yeah.
Good God, I know that hurt. Both of them. Yankee's head caught the back of the damn apron. Oh, God. Yeah, he was out.
I also really enjoyed Navon losing to Vivica Jones. That was one of my favorite moments as well. I watched that over and over again. I always enjoy Navon losing. So, yeah.
So my top 3 favorite moments, one of them would be that one that you just mentioned, PJC. Vivica beating
Wait, is he cutting out or am I?
Yeah, he's cutting out.
Okay, I was just making sure like I wasn't tripping. I'm like, what the fuck?
I was tripping.
I'm like, is someone going to say something?
I was so confused. I was
but
like,
I said you wouldn't like it, so we cut things off. No, but
like
I didn't know what to do. Am I supposed to like nod?
now you
Yeah,
guys
like
are
oh yeah, that's good stuff.
am I still here? No.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Got me? Okay. I was gonna say PJC was frozen there for a second. So anyway, yeah, the Vivica Jones beating Navon match would be one moment. Just that entire match was a moment more so than a match, in my opinion. And it's tough to just pick 3, in my opinion, because as you mentioned, Jason Walker returning, seeing that video, would have to be up there. Yankee with the finish to that match. Man, all very good points. But the other one I have to mention, we kind of brought it up a little bit earlier. And one of my favorite moments was definitely seeing Darkseid invading JJ the Pitbull Cordero's house and what he did to the Pitbull. I know the Pitbull didn't like it, but it was still very entertaining. Made for a great promo, in my opinion.
Man, in the promo package, that was a great moment.
Yeah.
With the soundtrack going. Oh, God.
Right? Just something that sticks out in my head and I won't forget anytime soon. So that's why it makes it one of my favorite moments. So then the last thing from my end, your top 3 favorite matches of this year from NUW.
Definitely one of them is Darkside versus Yankee. That's one of the best matches there. Two of the 3 would be definitely from Fight for Freedom. The other one would be I really enjoyed the Navon versus Chaz, and why do I keep doing that? Chris Idol. And the last one, the Backyard Rumble 3 as a whole, like that whole match. That match was – wait, no, that's not there. Man, I am screwed up here. Oh, dude.
But still, that was a great match.
Happens sometimes.
That was a good match, though. That was a good match. I think the last one would also be from Fight for Freedom is Everett Creed versus Corey Graves. That was a match that was building for years, and it lived up to the hype. So
good picks. You got next? You want me to take next, Mr. Osland?
I think I got it. And this no particular order.
Okay.
I'll go with Navon and Chris Idol. Dark Side and Yankee. And Moolah Cobalt.
that's a good choice.
Great choices.
Because I was not expecting it to be that.
Right. Not to take anything away from 2 of those mentioned, but my top 3 would be Yankee and Darkside from Fight for Freedom 2, Creed and Graves from Fight for Freedom 2, and then my third one would have to be Moolah and Shadow Grim from episode 30 of Slaughterhouse. Those are my top 3 favorite matches. So I just enjoyed a lot of seeing Moolah and Grim. Like I said, I don't think we'd seen quite that version of Chris Moolah before that match. So I was very impressed by it. Now let me double check. You got anything that was thrown your way, Mr. Awesome?
No, but I can just pull shit out of my ass.
You can do that. You've done it before.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I do. All right. For 2021, because I think we've covered 2020 a lot.
Mm-hmm.
2021, who is somebody that you want to see make a return that was not at Fight for Freedom, at least competitor-wise, wrestling?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Personally, I would love to see David Lowell back. I mean, he lost the title and he hasn't really been seen other than when he saw Steven Adams die, since then. So I would love to see him return to action.
It's a good pick. David definitely is somebody I'd like to see get back in the ring more. We've seen a little bit of him, but I'd like to see more of Joseph Anthony, the realist, I guess is what he goes by now. But I'd like to see more of him in the ring, and maybe a guy I mentioned earlier. It'd be nice to see the Hellhound again get a shot at some opportunities as well.
Damn, Tony. And last year when Hellhound was on your screen like 9,000 times, you were calling him a bitch. You were saying, little kid, go back to church.
Right?
You didn't want to see him, but now you want to see him. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, the kid got talent. I'll give him that.
For me, who I want to see make a return, based off of what we've seen this year, anything is possible. I mean, really, anything is possible. I think I want to see the return of Cameron Jackson.
That would be nice.
Because you never know what can happen in NUW. You can see somebody who probably has 13 views on YouTube right now. You could probably see them walking in here. You could see the person flipping burgers at Hardee's. You could see that person too. He could be your next tag team champion. Like, anything can happen.
Okay, so
and that's something I really do think we will see a lot more of. I don't think it's just going to be names that you do know of. I think you're going to see a lot of debuts as well.
So I'm going to throw another tag team out there I'd like to see debut in NUW. I don't believe they've actually... They might have had one match. Maybe it wouldn't be a debut. But I would love to see TLP in NUW and in that tag team division. Perfection, Rick Rios and TJ Sakara.
I can definitely see that. I do want to see Rick Rios at some point. I don't know if we will see Rick Rios at any point. If we do, you got to see. Actually, even if it's not TOP, I want to see him and Yankee.
That could be interesting too.
They could represent the Murder Club and do what they did to Zach Daniels to anybody.
Yeah.
Because if you remember how NUW started off, they were really on top.
They were.
No pun intended.
All right.
But yeah, so that's really returns out of the way. Who would you like to see debut that people have not seen in the Slaughterhouse yet? Wrestle in that sacred realm of that ring.
I mean, I would love to see any of them. There's a bunch of guys I've wrestled with, like BWE guys that still have yet to debut. So I'd love to see some of those guys, like who was just on the channel recently, Ace Connors. I would love to see Ace Connors in the Slaughterhouse. So
it's funny we mentioned TOP and Murder Club, and then you get Yankee the Difference Maker in the comment section saying MC for life. Well,
yeah,
4 hours.
Yankee knows a little bit about that Rick Rios guy. He knows a little thing or two.
That is. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see guys, like you mentioned, debut. Now you're talking full-on debut that haven't been ever in the Slaughterhouse, or could it be somebody that's been part of King of the Yard before and hasn't stepped into a Slaughterhouse?
Since I don't consider King of the Yard as a part of a brand, I consider it more a backyard wrestling thing. So I guess you can take one out of there, but also one that hasn't been at all.
Ooh. That makes it tougher.
I know it does.
Really, anybody from VTW, to be honest. You haven't really seen any of those guys step out onto NUW programming other than King of the Yard. They could make a splash in there if they wanted to, if they're not too busy with their indie careers. Okay, so then my other person who's never been at the Slaughterhouse, he's a little bit busy nowadays, going just about every other week, traveling to Jacksonville, Florida, but I'd still would pop so big if Cage popped up in the Slaughterhouse.
Whew. I hear he's a name now. I hear he's got some buzz to him.
A little bit.
Like I heard people actually know someone that looks like him that wears a mask. Yep. I heard about that.
Me too.
But for me, somebody who kind of has, as a part of King of the Yard, I would like to see the Silver Standard, just so he can settle a certain something with the dark side.
True.
That gives him a reason to stick around. And somebody who is not stepped in the NUW ring at all. Well, I mean, he is kind of retired, but you know what? Jason Walker.
Yes.
I don't even have to explain why.
No need to. I think we all want to see Walker and Creed at some point in time.
Or, I mean, there's also a certain somebody who hasn't made an NUW appearance, technically. I heard he's here, though. And his name is Novin.
Huh. That's true.
We have not seen Novin in NUW.
Very true.
And for good reason. Good fucking reason. A sick part of me wants to see Novin. But seeing what he's done as of late to other people, maybe it's kind of for the best. Novin stays down this time.
I say if this is the final season, at some point in time before the end of this season, the last emotion has to rise.
Oof.
Maybe in the very final episode.
Navon's taking medication now. Like, he can't. Well, I can't even say he can't because Halloween Hell 3 happened. The ending. So
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if we will see the Man in the Flesh once more. I don't know. I just don't think anybody. And it kind of sucks when you're a viewer and you don't want anybody else to like shift the spotlight, because if somebody takes that undisputed title away from Navon, they're not going to live too long, because then Navon's going to snap, and then Novin is after their ass.
Now, you sure that's something you actually want a piece of, PJC? Because you mentioned you got some unfinished business with Navon. You'd like to take that title from him.
Hey, if I do fight Navon and I beat him and he wants to bring out Novin, I'll be all game. I mean, there's a dark side of PJC. I used to not always be a happy-go-lucky guy, so I could bring out my dark side, and I'm more than game to take on Novin. So I'm not scared of him. No.
And you know, people have said that so many times, and it hasn't really worked out. So I'm just saying, you better call upon the Lord, because your ass might belong to him pretty soon.
I know the Lord. Me and him are good friends. He's my neighbor in the land of floating tacos.
Yeah, I see Mickey. He has his eyes rolled back in the back of his head.
Oh, he's sleeping.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Mickey. Oh boy,
Has Johnny Johnson been around him?
Yeah. He's eating Pop-Tarts in the back. You know, he's just having a good time. Mickey, don't put your hand there. Get your hand off. He was having a little bit too much of a good time. Sorry.
Oh Lord.
Bad Mickey.
Yeah, bad Mickey.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll bring up the next topic.
Go for it.
Whenever we do see the return to the slaughterhouse, whenever that is, what do you think the next mega event will be, if we even make it that far?
Ooh.
Because we've seen how 2020s went for NUW. Do you think Navon's just holding it off so he can add more days to his title reign, or is he just like, what do you think's going to happen? Will there be another mega event? And what do you expect?
I'm really not sure. I mean, I'll be game for anything, so hopefully there is, but this year has been nuts, so we really don't know what's the future holds. But I'm ready for anything, so.
It's a good question. I'm pretty sure we haven't seen the last of NUW by any way, shape, or form. As to what I think will be next, man, that's hard to say. I mean, we've had Halloween Hell, we've had Backyard Rumble, Fight for Freedom 1 and 2, Road to Gold. maybe Road to Gold would be next in line for a mega event. Again, who knows? Just looking through, I'm like, what other shows do we have here? You got the Survival of the Fittest that they had. And
Hey, you really don't know what to expect with any of this.
right.
That's the best part.
Because nothing's in specific order. We had a couple code reds, so. And as for who knows what could be next in line for it. So we'll just wait and see.
And at the unnamed mega event, what do you think is some of what you'd see? If you had to guess.
I'd have to imagine you'd probably see close to, if not all, the titles on the line for one. I would think, based off of Fight for Freedom 2, that you're going to want to see a couple guys are going to want a little bit of revenge. So I would think possibly Everett Creed might be out for either Adam Anderson and or Brandon Castelli. Although I think probably Adam Anderson more so, because I think Castelli will be busy with the match against Cobalt for the title. PJC may have either Johnny Reed or Shadow Grim coming for that Continental Championship. I don't know if Yankee will be next in line or Chaz Evans, but I have a feeling one of those two more than likely might get a title shot against Navon as well. So beyond that, how do you predict anything right now? It's so up to you.
That's the crazy thing. Like, even if you do know, you really don't know. And that's the thing that I can't stress enough. Even if you know, like, all right, this might be coming down the road, but it's like, is it really? Or is it just not?
Right.
NUW is really unpredictable in the best of ways. So you might see anything, really.
I do know a certain individual, the owner, was not too thrilled with the lack of content this year. So I know he's going to work his hardest to try and get more content out next year.
Oh, God. Thanks, Devon.
I'll put that much out there. Next.
Okay. Next, I will say. Okay, this is kind of off kilter to NUW, but it still relates. Tony, you've seen the EBW Thanksgiving special. Do you think we will see any sort of off the wall events like that on NUW, perhaps?
Probably not.
I don't know myself, but hey, if we get special events, we get special events.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure we're going to see some exclusive things coming soon. The NUW channel hasn't died. I can confirm that. It's not dead. It's just, it's coasting. It's chilling.
Right.
Things come back. It's going to come back. Like, I think PJC can attest to this. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean shit hasn't been happening.
Yep.
It has been in the works for this whole duration.
There's more coming.
Probably more so. So
Right.
NUW is even if it's something small, like the music, like what does that do? It gives you the trons and whatnot. It helps out the production. Like, it's the little things that are just gonna make NUW better. So people, don't give NUW shit. Shut the fuck up. It'll come out good. Fuck you.
Right. All right.
And I think that's all I got.
That's all you got?
Believe so.
Anything you want?
Anything.
Yeah. Anything you want to throw out there from 2020 or that you're looking forward to for 2021, PJC?
I mean, I'm just looking forward to 2020 was a great year in terms of my wrestling, but I mean, in terms of the world, not so much. But 2021, I'm just looking forward to hopefully defending my Continental Championship and seeing what happens for me in NEW. You know,
Right. Definitely see where things go from here with NUWIs. Before we do end the show, we'll mention kind of a lackluster year for me for this channel. Had a few prediction shows here and there. The main good thing we had was partnering with NUW, doing our Mr. Awesome and I doing our Slaughterhouse review episodes. Only got 4 of those out, but still in a prediction show. Had 2 guests this year, which is very unusual for me. Jaden Michael Quick and the aforementioned Corey Graves were the only 2 people I had on. Looking forward to having more people next year. Next year, hopefully, will be better for everybody when it comes to wrestling, period, and posting stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much a review on everything 2020. 2021, like, again, hopefully will be a lot better for everybody. Get all this COVID stuff out of the way, hopefully. Now that they got all this stuff out there about it. Anything in the works that you know of, Mr. Austin, that you want to address for 2021? I know one thing I've got going, but.
Well, I can say one thing for your channel. PJC will be back on, I'm sure, at some point down the road for a proper interview style Tiger Talks Wrestling.
I would love to, yeah.
Because he has a lot of a career to cover. Like, he didn't just start yesterday, folks. He has not. As for things under the wraps, I do know some things, but I have a zip lip right now. But all I can say, to quote a certain someone, be prepared.
Nice. Yeah. So, for me, the only thing I've got for sure is that I've got a Royal Rumble prediction show coming up at the end of the January. So, be on the lookout for that. Beyond that, I've had talks about certain people I might try to get on here, and we'll see what happens with those guys. Anybody specific, since I got you on here, PJC, that you would like to see get an opportunity on this channel besides yourself, of course, that we're playing with?
I mean, let's see. I would love Chris Moolah. I would love Zach Cobalt. I'm really not sure. To be honest, anyone in NUW would be entertaining to hear about. You know, hear about their career, hear about just them. I love learning about people's whole career and stuff.
That's good. Yeah, a couple of those guys have to. I have talked with an individual from another country who wants to come on as well. I honestly haven't watched any of his stuff really, but it's something to. Interesting. He should copy. But anyway, some of that stuff might get reviewed, and I know that guy that I'm referring to does have a lot of followers between his YouTube channel and Instagram, but we'll see if anything comes about for that. That's all I'll mention.
Hey, Tony.
Yep.
You got a good fan in the chat section.
Yeah, I noticed.
With a smirky face.
Uh-huh. I addressed him earlier, and if he wants to know what I had to say, he'll go back and rewatch the show. That's all I got to say about Brandon Castelli being in the chat section. I see him.
Holding the grudge. He's holding the grudge.
Brandon, he doesn't really like you.
Grudge match, next mega event. Book it.
Yes, Brandon Castelli versus Tiger Talks. Yes.
I got another clothesline in this arm. Might have his name on it.
Woof.
He thinks someone missed him. He's crazy.
Oof.
All right. let's see. We started on a somber note. I'm going to see if we can get something popped up here. End it with an actual outro, maybe.
We still have those?
I may have one. I'm going to look and see. It's been a while. Because I've been using different kind of outros lately. But as you'll probably hear a little bit of it play in the background as my media never pauses when I want it to. It still needs to be updated, by the way. Nonetheless.
Shit happens.
Yeah, it does. I haven't really asked you about it. We'll look forward to seeing what NUW brings to the table. Look forward to seeing what PJC can do as the new NUW Continental Champion going forward. Congrats again.
Thank you.
Welcome. Any last words that you guys want to put out there as we end the show?
Well, the last word I want to put out there is, well, I'm PJC, and I've got the muscle.
And I do got a select word regarding the NUW roster. This isn't from the King of the Mountain. This isn't from the owner. It's from me. To the boys that feel like NUW content is getting dry, I believe Fight for Freedom, it pretty much has it in the title itself. It wants you to fight for your freedom. And also to not pretty much just fight and stick around, Shit will happen. If NUW just rushed out a bum-ass product that had sloppy-ass editing, you wouldn't want to watch it, and don't hate on it. When it comes out, it'll come out right because there's the right people in charge making it happen that way. So that means to the roster, do your thing, keep doing your thing, and we'll see you when we see you.
That's fair. And, well, for me, like I said, next time you'll see me that I know of currently will be for a Royal Rumble prediction show the week of the Royal Rumble, which is on January 31st. Other than that, I don't believe I've got anything lined up. Check all the social medias, Twitter, Facebook, wherever, Instagram. Keep you posted on there. For Tony, for the Continental Champion PJC, and for, of course, Mr. Awesome, this has been Tiger Talks Wrestling. We'll catch you guys in the future in 2021. Peace.